Stewart and the group mismanaged money, and as far as upkeep and the conditions, there are other groups that are claiming that it really should be shut down. The orphanages should be shut down, and that Kobu should be held responsible. Um, and well, we're at 2014. Stewart's, I think, still living in Florida in that very large house. I don't know if they've sold it yet. They sold 162 recently. Stewart currently seems to have sisters caring for Gail. Some of you may not know, but she and Stewart were in a car accident in the Bahamas, I believe in 2001 or 2002. Um, Gail suffered injuries. She was in a coma for 5 months. This is what I was told. When she came out of a coma, she had a mental deficiency, permanent mental deficiency, and that she now needs care. And there are sisters that are caring for her. Whether or not Stewart lives with her or in the same house, that's not clear to me. But recently, months ago, he was seen at the King of Prussia Mall in Pennsylvania by a founding member of the Forever family and his fiancee. They were at the mall, and they noticed him in a clothing store, a women's clothing store, with a young woman about age 30, 31 too. And she was trying on these really short dresses, and he was admiring her and sort of making comments and just kind of, apparently he was going to buy her dresses. Well, this former member confronted him and said, "What are you doing?" And Stewart went into his defensive theatrics, tried to get him to read Bible verses from file cards, then said to the store clerk that he was being harassed, religiously harassed by this former FF member. And the fiance of this former member asked the young lady, "Do you really want him to do this, or do you want to be here?" Trying to check her out, and she just said some kind of mechanical speech like, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," or "Does your conscience bother you?" Or it was some kind of Stewart tactic of putting it back on the person that's trying to find out what the heck's going on. So eventually, the former member and his fiance left, but they did let me know that they had cited this, and there is the possibility this is Tim McAndrew's daughter. One of our ex-members talked to him directly. I think he was in Scranton. And Tim just said, well, I think Stewart's a man of God and that whatever he's doing is of God. And so it looks like, at least from Tim's point of view, Stewart is allowed to date his daughter, have his daughter as a companion, a traveling companion, even while he's still married to Gail. Even when everyone knows his behavior in Princeton towards Anne and towards the other sisters. This lets you see what current members believe or are willing to believe about Stewart and willing to ignore in order to maintain what? Their membership in the group, their standing with God. And this gets into the lesson learned or the history learned about what the group's all about. And I'll probably cut the tape, but I'll do one more segment before closing out this part of the series. But like I said before, our reality was altered by what we were willing to believe. Stewart put himself out to be someone, to be a man of God, an Elijah type, a John the Baptist reincarnation type, someone who had true interpretation. He was able to identify himself or give himself an identity that we as New Testament Christians couldn't hold accountable. How can you hold Moses accountable? How can you hold Elijah accountable? If he was a pastor of a